Good morning, my name is Alison Graham. I'm a board certified behavior analyst and a licensed behavior analyst here with Cole Academy, and I have an introduction to augmentative and alternative communication to share with you today. What is augmentative and alternative communication? Augmentative and alternative communication is also known by the acronym AAC, and AAC means all of the ways that someone communicates besides talking. People of all ages can use AAC if they have trouble with speech or language skills. Augmentative means to add to someone's speech. Alternative means to be used instead of speech. Some people use AAC throughout their life. Others may use AAC for only a short time, like when they have surgery and they can't talk for that short period of time. There are several variations of AAC that can be utilized, including no-tech, low-tech, and high-tech options. These alternative options provide individuals with a way to communicate effectively with other individuals. AAC options do not diminish vocal communication. Rather, it is the opposite. Research shows that AAC, when utilized correctly, can increase vocal communication in some individuals. There are many different types of AAC. There are no-tech and low-tech options, such as gesture and facial expressions, writing, drawing, sign language, spelling words by pointing to letters, or pointing to photos, pictures, or written words, or exchanging those picture cards. High-tech options include things like using an app on an iPad or a tablet to communicate, and also a computer with a voice, using a computer with a voice, sometimes called a speech-generating device. An individual may use different types of AAC because there are many ways that we all communicate. And the AAC system means all of the tools of the type that the person uses. The first type of AAC I'm going to review is sign language. Many children with autism have been able to learn and communicate successfully via sign language because it's visually based, it's unaided, and provides a mode of quick communication. Additionally, it's something that can be easily learned and used anywhere at any time. We always have our hands with us. By providing a way for the child to communicate, you can help reduce negative behaviors that arise from the child's inability to communicate their immediate wants and needs. Some simple signs that you can start teaching are more, all done, help, eat, drink. These are basic signs that can help get them what they need immediately. It's important to remember that when teaching and using sign language, one can pair it with verbal language. So if you're signing more, you can say more. So you're pairing those two together so the child can link those together. So using the visual of the signed word can help them in a transition to a verbal speech as the sign acts as a visual aid for spoken words. A low-tech option is the Picture Exchange Communication System, also known as Pecs. This allows individuals with little or no communication abilities to communicate using pictures. Individuals using Pecs are taught to approach another person and give them a picture of a desired item in exchange for that item. By doing so, the person is able to initiate communication. A child or adult with autism can use Pecs to communicate a request, a thought, or anything that can be reasonably displayed or symbolized on a picture card. Some more on Pecs. It is taught in 6 different phases. This allows for communication to be shaped rather than expect the learner to be able to distinguish all the icons and their meanings. In phase 1, we're teaching how to communicate. So we start with a single picture on the communication book, and we work on activities or items that the learner really likes. We want to work on increasing that motivation for them to communicate for those items. Phase 2 is teaching distance and persistence. We're still using single pictures, and the child is learning to generalize this new skill by using it in different places with different people and across distances. They are also taught to be more persistent communicators. So if they want a cookie in the kitchen, but their communication book is in the living room, they have to go to the living room and get their book to get the cookie icon, and then find a communication partner, mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever it may be, to give them that cookie icon in order to receive that cookie. In phase 3, we teach picture discrimination. The child is learning to select from 2 or more pictures to ask for their favorite things. These are placed in a communication book, a ring binder with Velcro strips, where the pictures are stored and easily removed for communication. So the discrimination, we start out with 2 pictures on the front of their book, and we let them pick one. If it's a cookie and a shoe and they select the shoe, we're going to give them a shoe. If they really wanted the cookie, we're going to use prompting and teach them that the other card is the picture of the cookie, and that's the one they should have selected. This allows them to learn those discriminations, that not all icons mean the same thing, and they have to really look to see what they are requesting for. In phase 4, we are teaching sentence structure. The child is going to learn how to construct simple sentences on a detachable sentence strip using an I want picture, followed by the picture of the item being requested. In phase 5, we're going to teach them answering questions. So the child is learning to use Pecs to answer simple questions. What do you want? In phase 6, we're going to teach commenting. Now the child is taught to comment in response to questions such as, what do you see, what do you hear, and what is it? They learn to make up sentences starting with I see, I hear, I feel, it is a, etc. Moving on to voice output devices. These are more of the high-tech options. These communication devices are similar to tablet computers with touchscreens. The individual can navigate through pages of icons that represent different things and will communicate different messages when pushed. They range from very easy to use for the child, such as having one button on the screen, up through very complex and having multiple buttons on the screen and having several different folders with different icons in them. There are standalone devices which can cost up to thousands of dollars. There are also apps that can be purchased and added to an iPad or an Android tablet. For the standalone devices, some insurances will cover the cost of the voice output devices. A speech-language pathologist would need to complete a comprehensive report and determine which device would be best suited for the individual, and that's submitted to insurance in order to have that device covered. So are there prerequisite skills for AAC devices? In short, no, and there's not, and I'm going to explain why. This is the most common question when working with nonverbal children who are considering AAC systems or devices for a child. There seems to be a preconceived notion that there are some prerequisites for the AAC devices that a child must have before they can be considered a candidate for AAC device. This can be, simple picture discrimination, being able to have the motor skills to pick up a card or push a button with their hands. But this is simply not true. In fact, AAC can actually help a child learn those skills more quickly. The following examples will explain what I mean. I will mention some common prerequisite skills for AAC that I've heard about for children, and I will explain why each of them is not necessarily needed before AAC can be initiated. So prerequisite skills for the AAC, myth 1, the child must understand cause and effect. In fact, AAC can be used to teach cause and effect as well as communication at the same time. When using any form of AAC, once the individual exchanges the icon, presses the button, or makes the sign for an item, they receive an item. They do something, they get something. Prerequisite myth number 2. The child must understand that a picture represents an object. This is partially true, but the individual can learn discrimination as they are learning to communicate with the AAC device. If there are 2 cards or icons and they exchange or push the icon that they don't really want, they're going to get that item. We're going to use prompting to teach them the corresponding card to the item that they want. Prerequisite myth number 3, the child must have good enough motor skills for AAC. Technology is an amazing thing, and AAC companies have come up with tons of different ways for AAC users to access their devices, even if they don't have great motor skills. For example, you can get a device with larger buttons or with physical dividers that will make it easier for the child to get their finger onto the correct button. If you're using Pecs, you can make the cards bigger, smaller, use different materials other than Velcro to make them stick if they have a hard time pulling them up. Prerequisite myth number 4, the child must understand enough language for AAC. There's nothing that says that children must have great language skills before they can start communicating. You can start with one button and one word that the child is able to say using a communication device. The child only needs to be able to understand that they want the thing that they get when they push the button or exchange the card or use the sign. The language skills will follow once they understand the effect that communicating has. It gets them what they want. Prerequisite myth number 5, the child must have enough interest in communicating to use AAC. This is something I commonly see in children with autism. Parents or therapists will say, well, they never seem to want to communicate anything, so I don't think he would use a button or pictures to communicate. For some children, that may be the case, but you never know until you try. It's very likely that the child does not yet understand the power of communication. Once you teach the child that pushing a button or exchanging that icon will get them something that they want, you may be surprised at how much their interest in communication grows. For many children, spoken words are much too difficult, so verbal communication might not even be an option. If that is the only means of communication they have been exposed to, they will not be very interested in communicating since it is difficult for them. Once you give them an easier means of communicating, you may be able to show them how wonderful communication is, and it gets them interested. Once they are interested in communicating, they often begin making more attempts at verbal communication as well. If you're interested in learning more about AAC options, please reach out to your speech language pathologist, your BCBA, or special education teacher to get you linked with someone who can assist in finding the most beneficial modes of communication for your child. Below, I've listed some of the resources I used in developing this training, and that can also help you with your search on finding options for your children. Thank you.